There's the corpse, folks. She was a young lass, only 60 years old. Murdered in her sleep, I might add, because the entire Beatle encampment ignored her. And who is that? Well, we have the two remaining spouses of the Beatles and their estates who seem to have more of an interest to make sure those departed Beatles are equally represented than what is represented. Ringo, who's always been a get along to go along kind of guy. And
easy going.
Yeah.
He's easy going.
So I think with the right people in the room, Ringo could be talked into pretty much. And Paul is so damn busy. He's got a new album coming out. He's had releases this year, last year, box sets and everything else. He's touring the United States, North America. And when he isn't doing that, he's touring South America. And when he's not doing that, he's touring Europe. And word is next year he's going to be touring England proper. So he's so busy, how much energy, and yeah, we got Jeff Jones. That was a good deal. Look at what he brought in. And just pass it by our desk. Bring us in for an afternoon to listen to what it is you guys have concocted. If we got any problems before you set it to press or you start lacquering it up and everything, we'll let you know in a moment. I think it's a guesswork at that point. So that leaves the CEO in charge since 2007, who is Jeff Jones. He took over from Neil Aspinall when Neil retired after a long tenure of managing. We've talked about the difference in managing style. Neil Aspinall's era, longtime Beatle associate who managed the company from 68 until 68 to 2007. Why didn't he hang till 2008? So Jeff Jones came along and basically he was responsible for the past masters, volumes 1 and 2, that became a double album. He was responsible for the digital remastering of the entire catalog, stereo and mono, with past masters repackaged as a double CD set. 2012, vinyl versions of the core albums, past master released. And 2014, the Beatles in mono box set with dedicated mono mixes was released on his watch. Jones is also the executive producer of the 2016 documentary 8 Days a Week. I like that one. I like that, what he did there. Directed by Ron Howard. I own that one. That was very entertaining, a different kind of way to look at it, you know, and their touring years and everything. Jones headed the production of the documentary Get Back, and that was shot in 1969 by Michael Lindsay Hogg. Okay, so he was responsible for that. And his last project is the documentary Beatles 64, released on 29 November 2024 on the same streaming service, coupled with the Beatles 1964 US albums box set. Gee, he was in on that as well. On October 21st, October 24th, it was announced Jones would be stepping down from Apple. No replacement has been named thus far, and then there was an addendum. On July 25th, 2025, Tom Green replaced Jones as the Apple CEO. Okay, so the new guy's been here since July, prior to the release of Anthology 4. But I would say everything falls on Jeff Jones's foot here. Not that I'm excited to see Tom Green come in. You know where he's from? He's from the Harry Potter franchise. Okay, so he's a franchise CEO coming over to deal with what? A franchise. That's what the Beatles are now. The band is dead. It's been dead since 1970, the springtime of 1970, and effectively 6 months before that. They were dead in the 60s. They never really saw the 70s. As long as Neil Aspinall, who managed for 2 years shy of 40 years, They stayed true and even produced the original anthology, all right? Some amazing stuff during that time. Because Neil Aspinall was a curator of a museum. They were no longer a band, but they weren't necessarily a franchise. And then comes Jeff Jones, all right? And I've said it before, all those 2009 remasters were better than what we got, but barely. They were cleaner, they sounded more robust, and they were lopsided as hell. So I wouldn't take a big score off that, Jeff, if I was you. And why is it that you stepped down late 2024? And why did it take so long? What was going on? Who was the interim? I'd like to know who the interim was between his stepping down and Tom Green coming up. Because Tom Green being announced, was Tom Green behind the scenes making his new, if he was behind or the interim and then it was officially announced, because nobody was doing the job between the time Jeff Jones left and Tom Green came on. And very early, late last year and early this year is the time they could have put a fucking Band-Aid on this piece of shit release that they put out. We need a doctor at this point. We don't need a CEO. We need somebody who can supply an emergency resuscitation. Bring this baby back to life. Tom Green, because I don't give a shit what you've done with the Harry Potter franchise. The fact that you're coming from a franchise, and I've been calling this band a franchise all year long. They've gone, and last year, they're dead, now it's the Beatle franchise. And I don't think Paul and Ringo have much to say about it. What do you guys think about that? Does that make sense to you? And I think that Jeff Jones leaving, stepping down, could have very well have been a request because of recent missteps. This is going to come up in the future. And I don't hear anybody. One person on stream today mentioned Jeff Jones by name. One person. Other than that, nobody's looking at this. The timing, the changing of the guard from Aspinall, from the Beatles to Aspinall, from Aspinall to Jeff Jones, from Jeff Jones to Tom Green. And what are we getting? Less and less what we want and more of what they want to shove down your freaking throat. They can, my cannonball.